Even if you have one of the greatest phones available, it's becoming more difficult to make yours stand out from the crowd. From display refresh rates to camera specifications, everything has changed to become almost identical from one phone to the next. If one smartphone has an innovative software function, it won't be long until competing devices implement some version of their own. Apple has a difficult road ahead as we approach September, the projected iPhone 16 release date. From the sound of iPhone 16 rumors, the largest possible changes, some higher screen sizes for the iPhone 16 Pro versions, new chipsets, and capture buttons for everything, are the type of upgrades you would expect to see, but not the kind that gets the pulse pounding. However, keeping iPhone 16 prices the same this autumn would set it apart from many of the other top models that have debuted this year. To release a significant flagship in 2024 is to presumably struggle with just how much to charge for it. In many cases, the solution appears to be more than we did for the last batch of phones. In January, Samsung started the trend when the Galaxy S24 Ultra slapped on another $100 to the beginning price of the S23 Ultra, thereby increasing the new phone's cost to $1,299. Not long later, the OnePlus 12 arrived in the United States. The phone costs $799, another $100 price rise over its predecessor. At least here, if you have a current gadget to trade in, an ongoing deal will let you lower the phone's cost back down to $699. Even foldable phones, currently among the most costly electronics available, are not immune to having to pay more. This month, Samsung unveiled the Z Flip 6 and Z Fold 6 with identical $100 price hikes above what their forebears cost. The later phone now starts at an astonishing $1,899. Price increases are unknown for Google's August hardware event when the Pixel 9 phones are expected to make their introduction. At least one rumor suggests possible increased pricing for some of the 4 separate phones Google might launch. For the Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro above their predecessors, that would follow $100 leaps. Apple's not devoid of priors in this conversation either. Although Apple kept the pricing of 3 of the 4 iPhone 15 models introduced almost a year ago under control, the iPhone 15 Pro Max's starting price of $1,199 is $100 higher than that of the iPhone 14 Pro Max. These price hikes aren't happening for any reason other than logical ones. In certain situations, phone manufacturers have chosen to pass on to customers the rising cost of components used in assembly, probably to keep profit margins for their new products. When it comes time to decide on the price of the iPhone 16, it's unknown if those same cost constraints will also be faced by the company. Though it's the kind of information that usually leaks immediately ahead of a new phone release, we haven't heard about any possible iPhone 16 price increases thus far. On iPhone 16 pricing speculations, we are at the point where the rubber could shortly meet the road as July gives way to August. Given the expected enhancements for the 4 supposed iPhone 16 models, the iPhone 16 Pro and iPhone 16 Pro Max would seem to be the most likely to see increased costs. Larger displays are expected from phones, and the iPhone 16 Pro is probably going to include the enhanced telephoto lens Apple delivered to the iPhone 15 Pro Max, the only iPhone last year subjected to a price increase. Apple, on the other hand, has plenty of motivation to keep the line on iPhone 16 Pro pricing tight. Samsung's decision to enhance the price of the Galaxy S24 Ultra a few months later largely offset the negative impact of the iPhone 15 Pro Max price increase. So there is still a $200 price difference between the premium smartphones provided by Apple and Samsung. Psychologically speaking, that is crucial. Still more crucial psychologically, though, is the $1,000 cutoff point. Stay under it even by $1. Consumers find it simpler to push that purchase button than they would for anything costing $1,099. Given Apple's view of the $999 spot in its present lineup, you would expect that to influence its decisions. Keeping the iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Pro at the same respective $799 and $899 pricing as their predecessors also makes a strong case. As Apple uses artificial intelligence to drive new writing and picture-generating capabilities, a major component of this year's iPhone upgrading cycle is the new Apple Intelligence features arriving on Apple's phone. Apple Intelligence calls for an A17 Pro chipset or later phone, so the only currently available iPhones that can enable these capabilities are the iPhone 15 Pro versions. Should the Apple Intelligence features prove appealing enough, one may expect customers to be driven to switch to a fresh iPhone. And that's much simpler if an iPhone 16 model's starting price stays at $799. Apple has a not unfair reputation for demanding premium rates for its goods about its competitors, the so-called Apple tax. Imagine the reaction when CEO Tim Cook addresses Apple's iPhone 16 launch event and informs attendees that the firm is not adding one penny to the pricing of its newest devices. That's the type of marketing triumph that more money simply cannot purchase. Given Apple's double down on providing the Pro iPhones with a stronger processor than the ordinary versions, it's very probable Apple will follow suit with the iPhone 16 series. That suggests that the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max versions will probably include an A18 processor, probably an A18 Pro. Other iPhone 16 models may match other A18 versions. One of those types should open up additional space for more transistors and specialized circuitry, as its die area is scheduled to be bigger than that of the A17 Pro. Analyst Jeff Pugh believes that on-device ad performance is improving. With servers driven by the M2 Ultra processor, Mark Gurman notes that Apple will still depend on the cloud for certain AI processing. Although we are not sure what else this chip may entail, studies already indicate that it will be somewhat different from the A17 Pro. Apple will be employing TSMC's N3E process-built chips instead of the N3B utilized to manufacture the A17 Pro. Along with improved performance and an undesirable loss of efficiency, this procedure is allegedly more cost-effective and offers better yields. According to one industry report, two new iPhone 17 processors will then come next, according to one industry report. The A18 Pro might be shockingly powerful, even with the same fundamental technology. One set of leaked benchmark figures asserts that thanks to a super powerful NPU, it might outperform Apple's M-series laptop/tablet CPUs on single-core testing and be the greatest Apple gadget for AI features. Given that Apple allegedly bought up to 100 million A18 processors for the autumn, Apple presumably expects substantial demand for its upcoming phones. That suggests that limited Pro model supply won't be as problematic as it has been for past Apple introductions. Though leaker Tech Revecnus thinks it is improbable, others have theorized Apple would increase the included memory in its phones to accommodate additional artificial intelligence-powered capabilities. Rather, the Pro Max would seem to stay with 8 gigs of RAM. Rumors about Wi-Fi 7 look more probable to be supported. Regarding memory, the iPhone 16 Pro Max should start with 256 gigs of storage. Thanks to a new memory standard, it might reach up to 2 terabytes this year. Yet, this may also mean slower read or write rates. Numerous speculations regarding the deployment of Apple's own 5G modem have also surfaced throughout the previous few years. Unfortunately, the latest report says that this modem won't launch until 2025. Qualcomm keeps its status as a modem provider for at least one more year. According to reports, Apple is considering using a new metal shell and connection on the iPhone 16 Pro Max to help reduce heat dispersion for the device's batteries. Without sacrificing thermal management, the redesigned shell and a larger battery density might allow the phone to run for longer. Apple also wants to diversify the locations where its batteries are produced, thus addressing supply problems at launch like the kind that caused delivery delays for orders of the iPhone 15 Pro Max this past autumn. With the Pro Max heighting 4,676 mAh, another leak shows that the iPhone 16, iPhone 16 Pro and iPhone 16 Pro Max might all have a rising battery capacity. The iPhone 15 Pro Max runs on 4,422 mAh. Though the battery size of the iPhone 16 Plus could shrink, this might imply that the Pro Max will once again be named the longest-lasting iPhone. With the next Pro Max, Apple might claim over 30 hours of battery life, a decent little improvement over the current 29 hours of video playback Apple promises with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So, that's all we know for now. We'll be sure to keep you updated as soon as we have more information. Thanks for watching.